have experienced someone that you love passing away. And as the time goes on after the death of someone you love, you begin to see all the things that they did for you and for others. And very often you didn't notice them while they were alive. And then you start to think, I wish I had said this, I wish I had done that. But alas, the time has moved on, and you can only look back in hindsight and think, if only I had seen this, if only I had recognized this, if only I had appreciated more what I could have said and done. Today's gospel is a very interesting gospel because in many ways the most significant part of it for me is at the end. The people saw that sign that he had given, and yet they only saw the sign that he had given according to St. John's gospel when they picked up all the pieces, when they noticed that there's obviously far more in these baskets of leftovers than we observe being handed out. And I think we have to ask the question, I wonder what they recognized while the food was being given to them. My sense is they probably had no sense at all of what had happened. They just ate what was given to them. It was given to them and they ate. There was no sense of gratitude there was no sense of anything, because I think with so many people there pushing from all the different sides, they weren't focusing carefully on what was happening in front of them. Suddenly there was food which they ate. And according to today's gospel, when there were so many 12 hampers of scraps picked up, then they recognized something had happened. I'm quite sure they didn't even know how many loaves and how many fish we started with. Only the people around Jesus knew, people that brought them, the apostles who were there, those that watched him break and give to them to hand out. And so for the ordinary person there, like all of us, when someone dies, they didn't recognize as it was happening what was happening. All they recognized was someone's handing me some bread and fish and we eat it. After the event, they recognized it and they wanted to take him off to be king. The challenge that today's gospel presents to me is a very simple one. Why is it that when those who I loved and who loved me were doing things for me, I may have recognized something, but it was only after they died, in hindsight, that I began to recognize the extent of what I was given, the extent of love that I had received. I think that's a question we can all ask, because we, like these people, have been fed with loaves and fish all of our lives, and for the most part we've noticed nothing of it. I think it's not really it is a kind of a blindness, I suppose. Not that we don't see what's happening, but so often we notice what we don't have rather than what we have. We notice what we're not given rather than what we are given. We are unhappy about things rather than happy with what we've got. And this is so much so the case in the contemporary world, where people want and desire everything, and as a consequence don't see what they've got. It's only when what they've got is taken from them that they recognize what it is. It's only when something happens that we do recognize that indeed I am so blessed. I have been given things all my life, and that continues to be the case up to this day. In one way, the miracle of today's gospel is the people saw. They were able to see at the end. The terrible thing is they got it wrong too. They wanted to take him off and make him king. The only response when we recognize gift is thanksgiving. The response of gratitude, the turning to God with all of our heart and praying, because the recognition requires the correct response. Today's gospel then challenges us. Why do we not see? Why don't I appreciate? And to begin to look into ourselves and see, well, what do I see? What do I not see? And ask, why is that the case? And we will immediately see within ourselves the things that the hand of God wants to change. And as we do change and see God's love and the love through other people, then let's open our hearts wide by giving thanks, by being people of gratitude. And if we are, today's gospel, in fact, be a gospel for each of us.